All right, today we're diving into one of the most powerful figures you'll find in West Africa's Yoruba cosmology. His name is Shango. Now, he's the Orisha. Think of it like a deity of thunder, fire, and most importantly, justice. And believe me, his story is this incredible lesson on what power really is and what it means to fight for what's right.
So to really get Shango, you have to rewind. I mean, way back. Before there were words for things, before we had names for anything, the world's first voice was thunder. You can think of it as the sky's oldest language, a sound that just demanded to be heard.
And right from that primal sound, that's where Shango comes from. He wasn't just born, he was revealed. He burst onto the scene just like a difficult truth does, you know? It's sudden, it's disruptive, and there is absolutely no way you can ignore it.
But here's the thing. The myth tells us Shango wasn't always this divine force. He actually started out as a man, a king, an Oba to be precise. And he was a ruler with this storm just brewing inside him, a storm that eventually was going to be impossible to keep locked away.
So, what was this storm all about? Well, it was built on three really simple but powerful principles. First, Shango was a king who just couldn't fake it. He couldn't pretend. Second, he literally could not witness injustice and do nothing. And third, he couldn't stand to hear a lie. For him, the truth wasn't some abstract idea. It was like breathing, a physical necessity.
And the problem he was up against, it wasn't some big, bad villain. It was something a lot quieter, and maybe a little more familiar to all of us. The source calls it an ordinary erosion. Think about it. A merchant shortchanging his customers, a neighbor gossiping, just these small, everyday betrayals that, when you add them all up, were just tearing the whole community apart from the inside.
So, what does he do? Well, his first move wasn't to come in with force, not at all. He just came down from his hill and spoke to his people. His voice was quiet, direct. It was the calm before the storm, really. A warning. But, yeah, that warning, it was completely ignored.
Okay, so what happens next? Shango raises his double-headed axe. But he doesn't strike a single person. He strikes the ground, the complacent ground itself, and bam, the sky just answers with thunder. But listen, this is the most important part. He wasn't punishing them. He was teaching them. The lightning wasn't there to destroy. It was there to light up a truth that everybody had been trying so hard to pretend they couldn't see.
So, what can we take away from this incredible story? Well, it actually builds a whole framework for thinking about justice, one that is just as relevant now as it ever was. So let's break down these lessons from the storm.
Okay, the myth of Shango really gives us three big lessons to chew on. First, the idea of righteous anger as a real moral force. Second, the power that comes from simply being heard and seen. And third, the massive responsibility that comes along with having any kind of power at all.
Let's start with that first one, anger. Shango teaches us there are two kinds, right? His wasn't just simple rage. Rage is messy, it's indiscriminate, it just destroys everything in its path. No, Shango's anger was righteous. It comes from a love of justice. It's precise, kind of like a lightning strike, you know? It's aimed at fixing something, not just blowing it all up.
And there's a name for this, prophetic anger. And it's not about losing your cool. It's actually the opposite. It's the success of your conscience, finally turning up the volume to 10, because all the quiet, polite requests for justice have just been ignored. It's like a divine impatience with the status quo. Okay, lesson number 2 is all about visibility. You know, in a world that so often tries to silence people or just pretend they don't exist, the simple act of showing up, being fully, unapologetically present, that's a huge political statement. It's a stand against being erased. And Shango's thunder? That's the ultimate announcement of a presence that absolutely refuses to be denied.
And that brings us to the final lesson, which is about power. Shango's story teaches us that power is like a covenant, a sacred trust. It's not something a leader owns. It's something the community loans to them. And if that power is ever used against the people, well, the cosmos itself steps in and takes it back.
Now, it's so important to understand that this isn't just some ancient story we dust off every once in a while. Shango is a living, breathing archetype. He's a powerful symbol, especially within the modern Black experience and that ongoing struggle for freedom and for justice.
You remember that idea of prophetic anger we talked about? That divine impatience? Well, that is a defining feature of the Black freedom tradition. It's the engine that drives change when every other road has been blocked.
I mean, this is the exact energy you can feel pulsing through Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. If you've read it, you know that letter is not mild. It is a controlled explosion of prophetic anger. It's the voice of a man being told to wait by people who have the luxury of time.
And this really shows how so many moments of protest throughout history have served what you would call a Shango function. They crack open the status quo, they break that seal of complacency, and they force a national conversation, making things that were invisible suddenly completely undeniable.
But here's the key. This energy isn't just about explosions. It is incredibly disciplined. Just think about the Montgomery bus boycott. 381 days. That is righteous anger being channeled into sustained, strategic action that changed the world. That right there, that's the precision of Shango. And this energy, it also transforms into some of the most incredible creativity the world has ever seen. The blues, jazz, gospel, hip-hop. I mean, come on, these aren't just music genres. They are the sound of passion born from injustice being transformed into world-changing art.
And all of this brings us to our final and maybe most important point. The work of justice. Well, a lot like Shango's thunder, it's never really finished. It's a living, breathing, ongoing force. And this is a powerful reminder that Shango's story isn't about some victory that happened way back when. It's about the sacred, continuous work that falls to every single generation. The work of refusing to accept injustice, of remembering what a community owes to every single one of its members.
Because when you boil it all down, the lesson is crystal clear. Thunder doesn't whisper. It demands your attention. It's a call for us to rise up, to be visible, to be purposeful, and to be absolutely unyielding in the fight for a more just world.
So, that leaves us with one final question to think about. When you look at the world around you, when you look at your own community, maybe even your own life, where is the thunder needed today?